Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Week 4 of the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside WFA chairperson Dean Williams for this fixture between Norwich City and GBG Saracens. Let's go through the squads quickly, starting with Norwich City, the designated home team. Certainly present, they have Mike Coleman, Johan George, Tom Burnett, Hannah Murgatroyd and Jack Fulcher. And for GBG Saracens, their young squad is comprised of Aaron Ebanks, Avery Bazin-Ball, Fred Boddy, Jackie Banks, Tommy Mickelson, Ollie Grafton and Adam Sevenoaks. If we just bring up the live league table, you can see what a potential 3 points does for their momentum in the Championship division. Norwich faltered slightly yesterday with 2 defeats from 2, so they're rooted to 23 points from their first 15 games. A win here would take them up to 26-3 within Villa Rocket Lions. When we're referencing GBG Saracens, they still need more points for safety. 15 points from their opening 16 games. A win here would take them within 1 of West Bromwich Albion Baggies. Dean, how are you?
Hello, Ryan. That's a very husky voice you have.
It's been slowly failing me as the weekend's gone on.
I think it suits you.
Yeah, it's a Barry White-esque.
It very much is. Good morning to everybody as well. Lovely day for it. Although we're inside, obviously, but the sun is shining again. Although I've only just got my warmth back. I've just taken my jacket off. Bit nippy this morning.
It is, but the sun's out, which is all that matters. Not that I would know. It's rooted to Court B for the entirety of the weekend.
Yes, you're not allowed daylight.
No, but I wouldn't have it any other way. But no, this should be a great fixture between, I would say, 2 similarly matched rivals, despite that disparity in the table. One thing we have discussed at length this weekend, and the whole season for that matter, is the point accumulation needed to avoid the bottom 2 spots. So 11th and 12th do result in relegation, but those teams are then, of course, invited to participate in the playoff for the upcoming season. So even if Hull or Nottingham or others in and around that bottom bracket do finish in those placements, they still have the possibility of being present in 26-27. Over the last 5-6 years, 14 or 15 points has been enough to ensure you're clear of the bottom 2. Looking at that table on your screens now, it won't be enough. It simply won't. I suspect you're going to need upwards of 17, 18, potentially even 20 points from your 22 league games to absolutely categorically assure yourself that you will not be in one of those placement games, which shows how tight it is at the bottom. And if we clear the graphics, you can see that Tommy Mickelson has it in the centre. We are trialling replays in this fixture. Graham Mulgrew is our central referee and blows his whistle to get things underway.
To add, sorry Ryan, just to add to what you said as well, the improvement we've seen over the last 2 game weeks from Hull and East Yorkshire has absolutely concertinaed this, isn't it? So GBG Saracens really will be looking to get another win under their belts here.
Yeah, obviously game weeks 1 and 2, Hull and East Yorkshire with no points from their opening 8 or 9 games. Since that, they've gone on a 6-game unbeaten run with 13 points from their last 6 games, which is a fantastic accumulation. We, of course, need to preface that with the inclusion and the addition of Scotland international Tyler McClelland, who is a sensational talent, it must be mentioned. And he's really mixed things up at the bottom, which means the likes of GBG Saracens, who you would probably had staying up or securing safety with the relative experience, the relative form of Hull and East Yorkshire, that's no longer the case. And Manchester City, beyond that fairly comprehensive defeat to Manchester United earlier today, went on an unbeaten 3-game spell yesterday with 5 points from a possible 9 against some title challengers. So it shows that no one's standing still. Everyone is gaining points. And that's why this is almost a must-win for GBG Saracens, as we are fast closing in on game week 5 of the season. It's crazy how quickly this
I
year has
know.
gone.
It is nuts, isn't it? I think also from a Norwich perspective, just to balance that out, if 3 points for them puts them back in the equation a little bit, doesn't it? Because they have drifted away a little bit.
Yeah, I would probably say that a playoff spot is probably out of reach, so maybe it's just shooting for the highest possible point accumulation, testing some of the youngsters, trialling their different tactics. If we go through the starting four: Hannah Murgatroyd, Mike Coleman, Johan George and Jack Fulcher for Norwich City. Fred Boddy, Tommy Mickelson, Adam Sevenoaks and Ollie Grafton for GBG Saracens. GBG Saracens lost their opener yesterday against league leaders Nottinghamshire, but would be proud of the performance they put in. And then they followed that up with a comprehensive 3-0 victory over Nottingham Forest, their greatest ever score margin in the National League.
And then narrowly lost to Teesside still, did I see?
Absolutely, I forgot they had a 3-game day, didn't they?
But so they were playing 2 of the top 3 yesterday, so to get the other 3 points was pretty critical, wasn't it?
I think, as mentioned on the podcast and commentary on several occasions, anyone that properly watches GBG Saracens knows their ceiling is incredibly high. As Mike Coleman is going to test that defence now. Indirect free kick, because Johan George just trying to position himself between Tommy Mickelson. He flicks it goal bound and it ricochets through the gap. And the goal is scored. Fairly disappointing from the defence of GBG Saracens. You can see Mike Coleman shaping up to take on that slower speed. Let's speed it up. You can see Johan George capitalises on that ricochet off Fred Boddy, and less than 4 minutes in, Norwich City have their opener.
So you may be sounding like Barry White, but actually you're looking like Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher now.
It is nice. Hopefully that translates over the streams. But we've got some exciting developments with the streaming set up.
Yeah, nice. Like that.
Goal kick for Norwich City. We're taken by Hannah Murgatroyd. Jack Fulcher probably the option via Mike Coleman. Would go straight to the number 21. Again, would have probably liked to have seen him stay in reverse there. Loses a second or two, readjusting his chair to face onwards to the opposition goal.
That's such a differentiator, isn't it? Staying in reverse to receive the ball does make a big difference.
It is, but if you're an attacking wide player, if and when I coach at the various levels of this sport, it's kind of the clear mandate that I want you facing your own goal for the majority of the play, because of the options it affords you. You can use your front bumper, you can look for the 180, the two-touch, not to mention the visibility it affords you, being able to see all of the other players on the court.
From a coaching perspective, Ryan, what do you think that's about? Is that a braveness? Is that a courageous thing to put the chair in reverse? And is that where that starts?
Yeah, absolutely is bravery. Sometimes there's kind of a psychological block, certainly with younger players. It's an unnatural movement to go in reverse, not knowing what's behind you. But something that I say to all players, the wingers, if you can see 7 other players on the court, there is no one behind you. You should have the freedom, you should have the spatial awareness to know where the touchline is, where the baseline is, and you should know with a degree of certainty the parameters you have to operate within.
Yeah.
So beyond maybe a match official or a referee, there should be no obstacles in your way. And if there is, they're in the wrong place, not you.
Yeah.
Two on one in favour of Norwich City. GBG Saracens just struggling to gain a foothold in this fixture. Johan George now. Diagonal splitting pass, finds Tommy Mickelson into Adam Sevenoaks, who tried to engage it. One thing I did highlight in GBG Saracens' 3-0 victory over Nottingham Forest was the positions of Ollie Grafton. He must have had double-digit attempts across the 40-minute fixture. Wasn't able to score, but I did caveat it to say that with a season or two experience, getting up to the speed, the intensity of this division, he will be a clinical wing as he's got possession now. Invites Johan George into the battle. Always seems to be in the right place at the right time. It's just a kind of a timing issue which sees him not able to score.
Saracens a younger squad than Man City, Brian?
Certainly the one that's lining up at the moment. And not to mention Avery Bazin-Ball isn't present this weekend. He's their youngest member at 9 years of age. So yeah. I think Fred Boddy is 15 or 16. Tommy Mickelson 13 or 14. Ollie Grafton 15 or 16. Comfortably in their teenage years.
There's a lot of development ahead of them, isn't there?
There certainly is. We've spoken about their ceiling and their potential. It's incredibly exciting as Fred Boddy, one of the players that I regard as one of the best in this squad, distributes up the court to Adam Sevenoaks. It's getting fairly congested. I think Norwich are pulling on their experience. It's a stark contrast, isn't there, between the inexperience and experience in this game.
Well, they're stifling them a bit, aren't they? It's all pretty much directed in one area of the court at this moment in time. Very difficult for Saracens right now. Such a young squad. How good were they on the Vars day?
Well, it would be remiss of us not to talk about the Vars because these are two of the four semi-finalists. Avoided
each other.
They have avoided each other, and I'm sure they are both hoping their next meeting is in the final on Saturday, May the 9th at Derby Arena. So Hull and East Yorkshire versus Norwich, semi-final number 1. GBG Saracens versus Teesside Steel, semi-final number 2. And both have a very credible opportunity to lift silverware.
And I have to say, it's remiss not to say this because it's in production right now. But I've seen the, as we've shared the branding last week, we've seen the trophy, the Vars trophy, and my goodness me, that's a lovely little trophy for maybe one of these two teams to lift.
Yeah,
who knows?
Definitely. But to your point, they were faultless on that Vars qualifying day, far superior than any of the other teams.
Yeah.
And because they're afforded a little bit more flexibility when it comes to classification in cup competitions, they would be able to field the likes of Tommy Mickelson and Avery Bazin-Ball together. So maybe some would have them as favourites. Others will nod towards Teesside Steel based on their placement in the standings, but we've also seen Hull and East Yorkshire go on this formidable run since they've included Tyler McClelland, and I'm not overly aware of if he will be present on Saturday, May the 9th. I'm sure Hull will want that to be the case. And not to discount Norwich City, who started the championship campaign in fine fashion. And maybe they'll look to pull on that experience where we've highlighted in those one-off games and that competition where anything is possible. It is the unknown. Genuinely, I think if you ask 4 different people, you could get 4 different answers.
Yeah, I think it's a very close one to call, isn't it?
And then when it comes to the WFA Cup, all of the top teams, certainly the top 4 placements in the Premiership, have all managed to avoid one another. So it keeps things very intriguing.
And of course, whether people are happy with the draws yesterday or not, we can blame Adam Walsh, the CEO of John Good Group, because he pulls out the balls.
Of course.
Lovely to see him yesterday, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
What a fan of the sport he's become.
think that's an understatement. Tommy Mickelson struggling to deal with Mike Coleman. 11.5 minutes in. He tries to flick it over to Johan George. Out for the GBG Saracens ball. They've certainly settled. They struggled in the first 5 minutes or so. And that's when Norwich got that 1-goal advantage. Nice switch of play out to Adam Sevenoaks. 180 across the court, but too square. The right intent, the right idea. But the angle not overly favourable for Ollie Grafton on the alternate wing. Live on court A, Chris Gordon and Ben Rogers calling the action of Nottinghamshire versus West Bromwich Albion Baggies. Can they be the first team to defeat current league leaders? It's also live on the WFA's YouTube channel here. Norwich on the attack, Jack Fulcher. Nice screen from Ollie Grafton, doesn't have the pace and that bravery of Hannah Murgatroyd that we've come to expect. I'd like to see Ollie Grafton be a little bit cute of his placement there. Try and angle his chair so the ball is going towards the opposition goal rather than staying contained in their defensive half. Mike Coleman, Fred body blocks. Ollie Grafton swipes it towards Adam Sevenoaks. Nice switch of play. Just isn't able to make up the ground, but the intent is most definitely there.
Exciting to watch, aren't they, when they flow like that?
Tommy Mickelson. Place down for Mike Coleman. Johan George, the only real option. I don't suspect he's going to try and switch it to Jack Fulcher because Ollie Grafton's placement. Johan George. Again, no real clear options unless he threads the eye of the needle. That takes a ricochet off Ollie Grafton. Thankfully, Tommy Mickelson had that left-hand post covered. So Johan George with a resulting corner kick. Look at Hannah Murgatroyd's placement over to Jack Fulcher. Something that I've commended on commentary several times is the bravery of Hannah Murgatroyd to provide a full foot option. Always typically hovers around that halfway line when her team are in attack.
I've heard you praise her several times this season for her defensive quality.
She's such a good player. Doesn't get the credit she deserves. Just come off the back of Manchester United versus Manchester City, and all of the success that Manchester United have is built on the foundation that Laura Evans provides for them. The exact same statement can be applied to Norwich City.
Yeah.
They build on what Hannah Murgatroyd provides, but Hannah Murgatroyd is more expansive, more brave, as you can see with her placement. Yeah. But it does leave a potential counter on for GBG Saracens if they're able to create that space. Keep an eye on Adam Sevenoaks. If he can just get ball side of Mike Coleman, you can see there is no one. If I can do this, Dean, I can show our viewers. If it comes from Adam Sevenoaks here, that's where you're going to want to get it. Out to Hannah Murgatroyd. It goes to Ollie Grafton.
And I'm looking at a little feed of the screen as well, and that did show up there. And we need to nickname you. What do you prefer, Carragher or Neville?
Certainly not Jamie Carragher. I'm a fan of Gary Neville, so that's...
apologies to Jamie Carragher.
No, I think Jamie Carragher is a fantastic football analyst. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's football brain, and how he breaks things down is so impressive on Monday Night Football particularly. But he bounces off Gary Neville so well. You can understand why they're so important to that kind of production value of Sky Sports.
Yeah. And it's remiss not to say this, what you've just seen Ryan do and showing the replays a little bit earlier as well. The reality is a nod towards the brilliance of two technical wizards that we're very fortunate to have in Alex Downing and Jack Humphreys, because we are expanding kit all the time, and this just brings another level to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Just back to Hannah Murgatroyd, has she always played in that way, Ryan, from your experience, or is it this season we've seen her develop that side?
I think she's always been that brave goalkeeper, but from what I've seen from Norwich this season particularly, they want to be a little bit more expansive. They want to try and introduce that fourth player into attacks.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tested here. It's not actually. Her distribution is fantastic as well. She never shies away from a 180 as the most offensive of the four players. She's really assertive with those front bumper pick-offs to break the lines, break the opposition press. As it falls to Johan George. But I love goalkeepers in this division.
You do, don't you?
I really do. Just looking at the four currently playing, Hannah Murgatroyd and Fred Body on this court, Matt Hadfield and Sam Swingler on court A. These are some very good players, and that's where I would almost encourage teams to play proficient, effective distributors, some of your better players in that defensive role. It's not me saying you have to play four-out way, far from it, but we've completely moved away from the goalkeeper has to be the obstacle between the posts.
Yeah.
Probably your least technically proficient player. We're far beyond that now, certainly in England.
And you're saying all this in the presence of a very, very good, talented goalkeeper, Chris Gordon, on the other court, as you've already mentioned.
Well, he's a very singular talent that has a skill set that not many do in playing that four-out fashion. But he will be the big advocate. It's Tom Burnett, fresh from his introduction. For Jack Fulcher, has an attempt at goal. Falls to Adam Sevenoaks, picks off back to Fred Body, but Tom Burnett gets hit in the way into the 180, the whistle in the mouth of Graham Mulgrew. 2-on-1 in favour of GBG Saracens as we are now 20 seconds out from a half-time break.
What a shame Chris Gordon, too busy commentating on the other game, couldn't hear that waxing lyrical about the quality of goalkeepers. You must clip it for him.
Ticked over into additional time. It will be Norwich 1, GBG Saracens 0 heading into the break. Beyond that opener, very closely contested. GBG Saracens have settled, but nothing has really troubled Hannah Murgatroyd in the Norwich City defence. So a huge thank you to everyone that's tuning in, to myself and Dean Williams. We'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to the second half of Norwich City versus GBG Saracens in Gameweek 4 of the 25-26 Slater and Gordon Championship, where you're joining myself, Ryan Sipple, alongside Dean Williams for the action live. Just a single goal separates the two entering this second half. Beyond that opener in the first probably 5 or 6 minutes, scored by Johan George. Fairly even. You would say that Norwich City, the more attacking of the two teams, but I wouldn't say Fred Body's been under a great deal of pressure beyond that opener. Give me your assessment, Dean.
I'd agree with all of that. I think a game of limited chances, but I think it's been difficult for Saracens. I think there's a smothering ability. We talked about Hannah Murgatroyd here, and she's doing it again now. Comes halfway up the court and stifles an awful lot. But then we've seen glimpses, haven't we, of Saracens breaking quickly, and they've got that incisiveness about them, which is the kind of thing that we did see on the Vars Day. So there's opportunities for them. It's a close one, isn't it? There's not much in it at all. Not many chances.
We have switched up at the break. GBG Saracens, Aaron Ebanks on in place of Adam Sevenoaks. So they're looking to trial different things, completely unchanged from the team that finished the first four. Norwich City, Hannah Murgatroyd, Mike Coleman, Tom Burnett, Johan George, and GBG Saracens have Fred Body, Tommy Mickelson, Ollie Grafton, and Aaron Ebanks. But as was the case, a lot of set pieces, a lot of dead balls for Norwich City into the path of Johan George. Switches the play, well read by Fred Body. The danger still present. Disappointing pass from Mike Coleman. Doesn't meet its intended target, so Ollie Grafton did have an opportunity to advance up that wing, but just collides with the Norwich City number 4. Down to Johan George, across the box. Tom Burnett's going to have a taste at goal. Would have liked to have seen him rotate there.
That was a great chance, that.
Yeah, almost.
Great chance.
Caught in two minds now, end to end. Now Ollie Grafton has a sight himself and scores! End-to-end stuff, absolutely clinical from a goal-scoring opportunity down this end to the equaliser up the other. Beautiful ball from Aaron Ebanks, as you're seeing, and Ollie Grafton makes no mistake. I highlighted how good his positioning is and how he just needed to work on that final intention, that final connection. He did it brilliantly there and finds the equaliser, arguably against the run of play. Norwich City 1, GBG Saracens 1.
The pace of that is so incisive, isn't it? That's the bit we touched on right at the start of the second half. They've got that in them, haven't they? 100%.
This game, all of a sudden, has burst to life. All that give them confidence. Aaron Ebanks with an almost immediate impact following his introduction at the break. Johan George looks to regain that 1-goal lead. Will that missed opportunity for Tom Burnett come back to haunt them?
Yeah, well, that was the moment, wasn't it? Had a super opportunity.
Johan George just out of shot. Into the box, over to Tom Burnett. Strikes towards goal, blocked by the back wheel of Tom Burnett. Fred Body puts his chair on the line. Straight away, Tommy Mickelson quickly advances out to turn defence into attack. Flicked across the court, Ollie Grafton, closed by Tom Burnett. All of a sudden, it feels really expansive, feels really quick. We didn't really see that in the first half. It was very dribbly, very locked up.
It's definitely opened up, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
Jumped into life.
Just what I need when I've got a failing voice.
Yes, if you could match the enthusiasm from the players, right, that'd be great.
Into the goal scorer, Ollie Grafton strikes it towards Hannah Murgatroyd. I think she'll be disappointed of the manner of the equaliser. Could have potentially closed the gap to that right-hand post, but I suspect in doing so, it would have presented an even bigger gap to the other side. GBG Saracens looking to reverse the scoreline here. Ollie Grafton to take Tommy Mickelson, hugged between Hannah Murgatroyd. As you can see what he's trying to do, win the corner, ricocheting it off Mike Coleman, but didn't have the accuracy.
The momentum's swung, isn't it? It's changed.
It certainly has. We'll bring up the live league table at the conclusion, but this would put GBG Saracens onto 16 points. So it would give them a 2-point buffer over Manchester City, a 3-point buffer over Hull and East Yorkshire, and they're comfortably clear of Nottingham Forest in 12th on 8. As Johan George nearly finds the gap. Fred Body to deal. Switch of play, nice ball from Tom Burnett. Pounced on by Johan George, that did come off Tommy Mickelson. Johan George off of Fred Body. You can see that Johan George has two options really, through to Tom Burnett with Mike Coleman as the screen, or finding that gap, alternatively off for a corner. There's multiple options he can use as Tom Burnett strikes towards goal.
Better connection this time. Oh, look at that.
Back to Hannah Murgatroyd, the first time they've used them, and you can see what it does. It expands it. We've been calling for it. But you're seeing when they have the bravery to go backwards, they can straight away put it out to that side.
When I said look at that a few moments ago, should have qualified that. It's you drawing on the screen.
It is me drawing on the screen.
I'm getting very excited by the use of this tech.
Tommy Mickelson into Ollie Grafton, closed by Mike Coleman.
What's your preferred colour, yellow or red?
I'm testing and trialling. Red didn't stand out on the court enough. As Aaron Ebanks has an attempt at goal, cleared by Hannah Murgatroyd. Yeah, I'm thinking yellow.
I did agree. The yellow looked good.
Let me trial blue. That would be the alternate, I think. So straight away, I'm looking at Tommy Mickelson. That is the intended target, maybe via Aaron Ebanks. Just there. And it does find its way to Ollie Grafton. That is a brilliant save from Mike Coleman. Looked almost a certain goal for GBG Saracens, and it would have been Ollie Grafton's brace. And again, highlighting his brilliant positioning, but maybe that slight lack of potency with his final intention. He will develop into a fantastic player, I have absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
Once he gets up to the pace of this relentless division, he's going to turn provider here into the box. It fires off of Hannah Murgatroyd. Out of play. Again, you're seeing the difference that we've set up. If I highlight Fred Body, does not venture into this area at all, which is where you would see Hannah Murgatroyd. Over to Aaron Ebanks. Two on one in favour of Norwich City.
With all this new kit now, I've got an idea for I think let's just call this a Monday Night Football. Ryan, you should do all of this analysis with these screens.
There is far better people to analyse and break down the game than myself. I think we'll be calling on the likes of Chris Gordon and others for that. My level of analysis is fairly basic compared to some of the minds in this game.
I can imagine people tuning in and listening to this will be jumping up and almost suggesting that that's obviously nonsense. A lot of knowledge in there, Ryan. If it was me drawing lines on it, it wouldn't make any sense at all. Everyone knows that.
Tommy Mickelson now looking for his best option. Goes out to Aaron Ebanks looks to switch the play, 180, keeping that play live, but Johan George is doing such a good job just to read the intentions, fragment that momentum, and now he turns defence into attack. Tommy Mickelson, very strong in the dribble. It goes back to Mike Coleman, just about 3 metres away from his number 11 teammate. Now a switch of play out to Aaron Ebanks. First time of asking, trying to diagonally split the ball across the court. Ollie Grafton would needed a tremendous amount of power. No angle from Mike Coleman. Slightly disappointing, both intentions there. Two on one in favour of Norwich City. Will we see Hannah Murgatroyd come up to take? No. She stays back. Probably down to Tom Burnett. But he's closed off brilliantly by Aaron Ebanks. So Johan George maybe in the centre, using that front bumper, uses the side, over to Tom Burnett. Would have liked to have seen Tom Burnett in that instance, as my graphic will show, go round that way in a kind of clockwise fashion rather than what he ended up doing. Fred Body into the 180 of Johan George, brilliantly intercepts, but Fred Body saves. Mike Coleman's on the edge. Ollie Grafton. Nice strike from Mike Coleman. Secondary effort, trying to locate Johan George. Can't quite get the angle, but it sits up nicely. Nice intent that from Mike Coleman, but Johan George not overly aware that the ball was coming down into this corner. Tommy Mickelson. Once again, Johan George seems to be absolutely everywhere.
Doesn't he?
On the court.
I've been impressed with Tommy Mickelson.
Brilliant player.
I've not seen much of Tommy at all, but
excellent player.
Yeah, really good.
Again, you're seeing Hannah Murgatroyd hovering around that halfway line. It is interesting. The one time that they felt comfortable going back to her, they had success. They was able to really pull GBG Saracens into an uncomfortable shape. You wonder why they don't do it more. I know you can't necessarily overuse it because it will become predictable, readable, and then you can potentially capitalise, but I think there is the opportunities being provided to really try and stretch this Saracen squad, who, as of 33.5 minutes, will probably be the happier of the two with a potential point.
Going for a bit of a lull again now, isn't it? Maybe that's an acceleration to the last 5 minutes or so. Winner in this, do you think, Ryan?
You would certainly say that if there was to be a winner, it'd probably be Norwich City based on momentum and attacking intent. But Fred Body and Tommy Mickelson have remained resolute in defence beyond that opener. So
And calm.
calm.
They look quite calm, don't they?
Well, to think that Tommy Mickelson and Fred Body probably have a combined age of Mike Coleman, it speaks volumes to how good they are despite that relative inexperience. Johan George into that central channel, invites Tommy Mickelson into the battle with Mike Coleman. Tommy Mickelson with the initial better of the exchange, but Mike Coleman quickly goal side.
It's been a good battle, that, hasn't it?
It really has.
Between the two of them.
In terms of that central battle, I don't think either could say they've been better than the other. I think it's been very even. I think this game has and will be won potentially by the attacking wide players. Looking at Johan George for Norwich, looking at Ollie Grafton for GBG Saracens. Goes all the way out to Ollie Grafton, just swipes it across the court, ricochets between Ebanks and Johan George. It definitely come off. Oh, it did come off a Norwich City chair, ricochet between the two players, and whilst I understand the intent from Johan George to fire it up the court, Jack Fulcher was never going to make up that ground, so maybe taking 20% off would have allowed his teammate to take possession.
A lot of positive noises coming from the Norwich coaches. Final three. Clearly they're going to push for the winner. Saracens will be happy with the point?
Most definitely.
You think so?
Most definitely. Their equaliser, as I said, arguably against the run of play. Beyond that, they haven't really tested Norwich's defence. And we've said so often that battle at the bottom, a fight for championship status for 26-27, is going to be won against the teams in and around you rather than the teams above you. So when you're GBG Saracens, you're coming at your future fixtures against the likes of Hull and East Yorkshire, Manchester City, Nottingham Forest. They're the ones you're going to have to really give everything. They're the must-wins. If you get points from the likes of Norwich or anyone in that upper bracket, you're surely seen as a bonus. But GBG Sevens have that buffer over the three teams below them.
Hull have got a game in hand, though. Hull and East Yorkshire.
They do, but their second game of the day is against Manchester United.
Is that right? Okay.
Who are hot on the heels of league leaders Nottinghamshire.
Well,
so
that'll be interesting based on the run that Hull and East Yorkshire are on.
it will be very
Fascinating
interesting.
game to watch.
I don't disagree, but I was left slightly underwhelmed by Hull and East Yorkshire against Manchester City yesterday.
Okay.
Jack Humphreys and co largely nullified Tyler McClelland.
I didn't see that one.
So it all depends what Hull and East Yorkshire show up. Is it the one that ended Teesside Steel's 31-game unbeaten streak, or the one that struggled to get a point against Manchester City?
Yeah.
Ollie Grafton here, approaching the final minute. Could they do the unthinkable and snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat? Aaron Ebanks testing Hannah Murgatroyd. Ollie Grafton slightly out of ideas, so just guides it out of play. Last minute, Dean. Player of the match, please.
I think, I mean, anyone listening to this who's watched the game, you could make an argument for anyone, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Really? But I think it's very close. But I did mention him a few moments ago. I'm going to give it to the lad that's just touched the ball there, actually, Tommy Mickelson. I think his energy has been really important in the game in terms of Saracens coming back into it. So he's going to get my vote on this occasion.
Yeah, fantastic player. I'm sure they will celebrate this point. They still have 30 seconds plus any additional time to see out. Tommy Mickelson has been brilliant.
I've loved watching that battle between him and Mike Coleman. I think it's just been a fantastic battle.
And that is the full-time whistle. Norwich City 1, GBG Saracens 1. Johan Jord with the opener before Ollie Grafton with the equaliser in the second. Let's bring up the live league stand as you can see what that point does for GBG Saracens' hopes of championship survival. You can see it puts them up to 16 points from their opening 17 games, 2 above Manchester City and 3 above Hull and East Yorkshire. So they will be happy with that. For Norwich, they'll be disappointed they weren't able to get the 3 points over the line, but a much better performance than others they've shown in game week 4. A huge thank you to everyone that's tuned in, to myself and Dean Williams. I'm up next on Court B. We'll be calling the action of Manchester United versus Hull and East Yorkshire. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Ryan.